Well, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and on the heels of last week's celebration of National Police Week, the Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission is highlighting how it focuses on mental wellness in every stage of officer training. We're joined once again by the Commission's Executive Director, Monica Alexander, and she's here to talk to us about breaking the stigma around mental health in the law enforcement community. It's nice to have you back this morning.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for coming in. So tell us about how the commission weaves in maybe the topic of mental health when it comes to training law enforcement officers here in Washington. How do you guys do that?
It's not that hard, actually, because we talk about it so much with our community members. And so now we're telling the officers, you know, that whole thing, you got to take care of yourself to take care of others. Yeah. And so we're just talking to them straight on. Like, you'll see things that your average person will never see. And you have to take care of that. You can't hold it in. You can't take it home to your families and dump on them. We have to provide them with resources and let them know it's okay. It's okay to get help, and it's okay to take care. Not only is it okay, it's necessary to take care of your mental health.
I would imagine the times that we're in, and maybe given the nature of the job itself, is one of the reasons why it is so important to focus on something like this in that training. Talk about that. Why is it important to put such an emphasis on mental health when it comes to that training?
Because we want our law enforcement officers, they come in as good people. They go through all these background checks, psychological. We want them to leave the agency in 25 or 30 years the same way they came in. Yeah, they'll be better people. They will learn so much more, but we want them to have a good retirement. We want them to live a very good life. And they can't do that if they don't take care of their mental health. And they can't take care of our community if they don't take care of their mental health. So we are putting an emphasis on it. Our legislature was good to us and provided us with funds for a wellness program for our officers. It's a grant program that agencies apply for this money, and they get money to enhance wellness in their own agencies. And so I'm really grateful for that. So it starts at the academy, but it continues throughout their career.
Can you give us an example of maybe some of the skills or topics that are talked about in that training?
Yeah, so we talk about, you know, trauma-informed interviewing techniques and how to deal with that from your perspective as well as others, how to manage stress.
There's huge.
It is huge, because there's stress on the job every day.
Yeah.
Even if it's just putting on the gun belt, the vest, the uniform, and driving a patrol car. That is a certain level of stress. While it's low stress, it's still stressful, because you never know what's going to happen. If you knew what was going to happen, would you prepare with all of the gear?
Yeah.
No, you have all the gear because you know something can happen. So there's a little bit of a heightened sense of alert that you walk around with all the time.
And I'm thinking about those instances, depending on the type of calls that they respond to, which are some really horrific things, yeah. And then having to go back home to maybe a family and, you know, sort of in a way disassociate yourself from what you just saw, and that's hard.
It is, but we don't want them to disassociate from their families. Their families are what got them there. They're their main source of support, but you have to learn how to process that information and how to process those horrific calls.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
It is hard, yeah, very complex. Share how the commission is honoring fallen officers this month.
So we have our Memorial Rose Garden in the back, and we had pipes come out, you know, the bagpipes come out, and we are looking at, we always honor the fallen. It's in a place where we pass this wall all the time, and our recruits, as kind as they are, take care of that wall and the area around it. And so we really do, and not only our officers, but our canine officers have a wall back there, and our corrections officers. And so with National Police Week, we are putting an emphasis on remember our fallen, but we do it every day. Yeah. Our recruits are really good about looking up people on the wall and reading something about how they lost their lives. And that in itself brings around a certain amount of stress and trauma.
Is that something that the public can go see?
Yes.
It is?
Absolutely.
I would imagine that's pretty remarkable and profound to see that in person, just sort of thinking about, you know, all these people that lost their lives, you know, providing a service to the people of Washington.
Yeah, and all the stories are different.
Yeah.
And then the large wall is down at the Capitol, right behind the Temple of Justice, and so it's really important. And I see people, I was down there because I had the pleasure of ringing the bell earlier, at the end of last week, and for Police Week. And it is something. It is somber, and you're right. When you see all of those names, and I know several people on the wall, I remember their stories, but I want all of our recruits to understand their stories, and it makes us better. It makes us so much better training them, and it makes their training better because they understand some of the things that have happened in the past.
Talk about that intersection between mental health and public safety. How, in your mind, do those two kind of go hand in hand?
Oh man, so much. They're so intertwined, and I'm so happy we're talking about it now, because if our officers aren't healthy, they can't help others. And I also want them to recognize when someone is in crisis. And so we talk about crisis intervention. They have crisis intervention training. And so many of our officers are so grateful for it because, one, it helps them to know how to handle people that are in crisis, and it also helps them to identify when they're in crisis. And when we say that, it doesn't mean they're not fit to be an officer just because they're in crisis. It just means you need help, and we're going to get you the help that you need. Some agencies have embedded psychologists within their agency, so officers don't have to go to an office. They can find someone right there if they need someone right then. That's one of the things that the grant has helped do, is help pay for that. A lot more officers are getting into yoga to help their physical as well as their mental.
Yeah.
So they're learning some great things now that when I first started as a trooper, we never talked about this stuff. You don't talk about it.
Yeah.
You just deal with it. It was suck it up, buttercup. Well, those days are gone. And it is time to talk about it, and it's time to get people help.
It's important to bring it to the forefront.
Yes,
Monica,
absolutely.
thank you so much for the work that you guys do, and thanks again for coming in this morning.
Thank you. Thanks
Good
for
to see
having
you.
me. I love
Of course.
seeing you.
Love to see you as well.